there's actually baskets that, like, God forbid, one of the astronauts had like a heart attack.
Okay.
And, you're 300-400 feet in the air.
Right. Away from everybody.
You got to get them down quick.
Right, yeah.
And the ambulances can't sit at the bottom of the rocket. So they have to stay pretty far away. So it's so wild, man. I'll show you pictures later.
Mm-hmm.
The actual vehicle that the astronaut rescue team is in is like a armored tank, basically.
Okay.
And they're like the closest, and they can like haul ass in. It's like this, like 8 inches thick of solid steel. They run up, and then there's medics on that team too. They'll go up, pull like Bob and Doug out, and they put them in this basket, and then you literally, it's pretty much like a hatchet type thing to a rope that you basically chop, and then it sends you flying down the zip line. And that's where the ambulance will take him out of the Stokes basket and put him in the back of the ambulance, take him to the hospital.
Right. What's up, Joe?
What's going on, man?
Good, man. I like the mustache.
Thank you.
Make me feel like a coward.
Dude, honestly, since last time I saw you, it's grown in pretty good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is actually the first time I've ever grown one. 34 years, almost 10 years in the fire department, and I started this like 4 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. Yeah, when I took off my mask, I was like, oh, man, I got to show this guy what I got going on.
It's pretty good.
It's nothing. It's getting there.
When I took mine off, this side was like, Meh.
Yeah.
It was like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that work, you got to cover it up.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Oh, that's been the struggle.
That's the struggle, right?
That's been the hardest part of my time in the pandemic is trying to keep the mustache so I can get under a mask.
Do you use like wax or anything? Like, what do you do? Oil? Anything?
Honestly, I use the pomade that I use in my hair. I just use that on.
There you go.
I'm cheap. So
if it works, it works, right?
Just like throw it on there, twist it up.
Well, dude, I'm stoked that you came on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Holy
course. Shit.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, man.
It was, as soon as I saw that you were like someone who likes to talk, because you just started a podcast.
Yeah.
Who was Joe Grant?
Who is Joe Grant?
Right. And I listened to your first episode with your girlfriend, Ashley.
Yeah.
And
turned out surprisingly good for my first one.
Yeah, you guys had some good stories. Yeah. And I know you'll only get better.
Yeah. It's still like, I've never had trouble talking. But as soon as you throw cameras up and microphones, like I love shooting the shit with like all my friends. And, usually like I'm very open-minded both sides. Like I'm not like, I don't ever lean one way or the other. So I genuinely love having like good open conversation. Mm-hmm. But, oh man, me and my buddy Paul did the first one and terrible.
Did it not come out?
Oh, well, we were just so awkward and nervous. So we kept drinking.
Yeah.
And then just got hammered and went so off the rails. Like we ended up talking about his car for like this old beater car he had for like 30 minutes. Right. And I watched it the next day. I'm like, no one wants to listen to this.
You want to find the balance, right?
Yeah.
Where because if you do enjoy conversation, then a podcast I think is something that you can keep doing, because that's something about anything, right? If you like doing it, you'll keep doing it and you'll get better at it. But it is. It's like talking. No one wants to hear you talk about a broken car for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is you got to like, within the first minute or two, you either got someone's attention or you don't. Yeah. And it's easy to lose it, right. Yeah. Especially in today's world, everyone's like, so quick with everything. So, the first one, it was fun, but it was terrible. So then me and my girlfriend she's a nurse in the ER. Mm-hmm. And, so I was like, oh man, like people with everything going on right now, I was like, people would want to know what it's really like in the ER.
Dude. The story that she told about the feces thong, we'll call it. God. And it was someone that was basically just willing to die, like just waiting to die.
A homeless guy, just that real manic depressive, which that could be a whole nother podcast. It's just the mental illness stuff that's like neglected, like it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And guys are just told, oh, toughen up. It's real, man. And so she sees that a lot. And this dude, just basically depressed, gave up on himself. They found him. They thought he was dead. They brought him into the ER, and you heard this story. Right, yeah.
And if you want to hear the whole story, I'd suggest checking out, it's the first episode of your podcast,
it's the first one, yeah.
And, but just a quick overview. there's feces and maggots involved.
Yeah.
And it just, if you really want to know how hard it is to be a nurse or what they're dealing with, that's a good one to watch.
Yeah, nurses, especially nurses in the ER. Oh gosh, man.
Right.
They're saints, man. They're saints.
Well, and you too, you're a first responder.
Yeah.
You're a firefighter. You were working for Brevard County, right?
Yeah, I was working for Brevard County Fire Rescue for like 8 years, and as a firefighter paramedic, and then probably about 6 and a half months ago, I got picked up by out at Kennedy Space Center on the NASA side. So it's weird when you go out there. I didn't know this till I started working there. There's basically like we call it like the Air Force side and then the NASA side.
Right, because Patrick's right there, right?
Yeah, and so Patrick is like a totally different department than we are. So I'm on the NASA side as a firefighter paramedic, which is
that's got to be like the job, right?
Growing up in Florida, you know,
you see the launches.
Seeing the launches.
What part of Florida are you from?
So I was born in Melbourne at Holmes Regional, and
grab that beer,
But I was born in Melbourne, and pretty much stayed in Brevard County my whole life.
Yeah.
Orlando is a second home to me through skateboarding. Like I was here every weekend skateboarding. So
like Vans.
Yeah, like even before that, before any of the skate parks were big, we would just come street skating every weekend, and just half these business owners probably fucking hate me.
Right.
But it was this was like my home away from home.
Okay. Yeah.
And so grew up there, and then which is kind of ironic, born in Holmes, and then I ended up working for the fire department there, bringing people there every shift.
Right.
When I was on the ambulance and stuff, and so it's cool. And then growing up with the space shuttle, I grew up dirt poor, so like,
did you?
I think I got to go to Kennedy Space Center once, and I was like, on a field trip,
Yeah.
And so now I get paid to go there, which is
it's
wild.
insane.
Yeah,
right.
It's wild.
It's insane.
It's normally you get a job, and you're like, everyone tells you the good shit. And then you're like, you get there and you're like, you left this part out. Like you find out the shitty stuff of the job.
Yeah.
This has literally been the opposite.
You can't find the
bad
part.
I got out there knowing it was going to be good. And then I'm like, all right, when's this shit going to start rolling downhill? And then the bad stuff that came out, I literally looked at these guys that have been out there for like 20 years and I'm like, that's what you're complaining about? I'm like, so it's honestly even better than I thought it was going to be.
Good. Well, you got to have some moments out there where you're just kind of like, oh, this is like some of those not aha moments, but like this is a good life right here.
Yeah,
kind of living. Yeah.
And honestly, man, there's moments where I'll catch myself. I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this.
Right.
Which it's a unique time right now because with the pandemic, they closed down most of the stuff out there, and like a lot of the engineers and scientists and all the people that are way smarter than me work from home.
Right.
So the number of people on base are probably half of what's normal. And then the visitor complex, which normally has tons of tourists that come in and, get on the buses, do the tour, do all that. They were flat out closed for a while. And then now I think they're at 50% occupancy still.
Right.
So my first 6 months there has been really easy. Like it's been like slow. But then there's aha moments where I'm like, now I see why you guys get paid so much. Like when SpaceX did that first launch, their first manned launch.
Oh yeah, just this year. Was it Doug and Bob?
Doug and
Bob, dude. Yeah,
they couldn't have picked better names. Like I know they didn't pick those names, but
I know, but like exactly.
Yeah, I feel like someone was like, there's like probably someone named like some super regal name, and they're like, nah, right now we need a Doug and Bob.
We need a Doug and Bob.
Yeah, America needs a Doug and Bob. But that launch. So I'm a hazmat technician also. Okay. So like the methyl ethyl bad shit, icky sticky green stuff that no one wants to touch.
Like chemicals?
Chemicals, yeah. Like the hydrazines, all the stuff that you don't want to get near.
Shit that'll kill you.
Yeah, like quick.
Things that are in the rocket?
Yes.
Okay.
The hypergoals, all the stuff that make it possible for the rockets to, do what they do. Extremely dangerous chemicals. And being on the hazmat team for the county when I worked for Brevard was like, most of the time it was like a semi truck would roll over, you'd be stopping a diesel fuel leak
right.
You'd have a propane tank or something, natural gas line.
You're not dealing with these same chemicals and stuff, right?
And so when I got out there on the first launch, I got chosen to be on the hazmat portion of the astronaut rescue team.
Okay.
And on our debriefing, it hit real quick how serious this shit was. Like, we were going over the stuff and the chemicals, and if this happens, you have to do this. If this happens, you have to do this. Right. And I was just sitting there like, oh shit, this is real. Like, it's not just like hanging out, having fun. Like, when it's time to work out there, it's serious. And the president showed up, the vice president.
That's right,
Elon Musk was there. So like, talk about security, dude.
Right.
Our fire stations, hopefully I'm allowed to say this, our fire stations had like armed guards on the roofs, and like,
that makes sense.
Like the day before, like, it was insane. So to be a part of something that serious, I was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I gotta actually.
Yeah.
This isn't just like kicking back, working out, and like running a couple calls here and there.
I honestly, I know what you mean a little bit, because I ended up guarding nuclear weapons in the Air Force in Italy. And I had some moments where I was like, you're caught up in the moment where you're doing all this training, and it's serious, blah, blah. And then you have some days where you're like, oh, fuck, like if someone jumps over this gate, like it's me between them and a nuke. It's like,
like, how you look at the nuke and you're like, what am I doing here?
No, like I barely graduated high school. Yeah.
Like, I almost dropped out in 12th grade, and now I'm guarding nukes.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah. And I told my dad was so funny when I got hired out there. I don't think I'm whatever. It's funny. Some of the guys out there are like, don't say NASA and like the term.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's if you're like defacing the name of the company. I'm talking them up right now, so I think it's okay. But my dad was so funny when I got the official job offer. I called him, and he was like, I can't believe it. My son works for NASA. And I was like, oh, pump the brakes there. I'm like, I'm not like a rocket scientist. I'm a dumb fireman, but yeah, I kind of do work for it. It was cool to like.
Dude, it's cool what you do, because you told me a little bit before something. Because when the launches happen, the manned launches happen. Where are you stationed at? Like, where are you?
Yeah, so especially being on the astronaut rescue team,
right?
We are, aside from Bob and Doug, we were the closest people to that rocket. Like the video I posted on Facebook and Instagram, that is as close as you can get. So when you go out there, there's actually, they basically make like a parameter around each pad, and it's, say it's 2 miles, and they literally paint a fat white line on every road, and they'll go, all right, if you're launching on pad, 41B, you have to be on this side of that white line.
No one can be inside that line.
Because if, God forbid, something happened, that's like supposed to be where the closest you could be safely.
Mm-hmm.
We were at that line.
Gotcha.
Because I asked my lieutenant, I'm like, hey, who's closer than us? Because it's pretty close. Like, I can see the rocket about to go up. And he was like, he kind of laughed. He's like, the astronauts. I'm like, this is so fucking cool. Like, I'm getting paid time and a half. This is my day off, so I was getting overtime.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I was getting paid time and a half to watch a rocket as close as you can get without being in the fucking thing.
I mean, Zach and I, like, we're like space nerds. I mean, maybe he's even a little bit more than that, but we are like enthusiastic about space. And like, I grew up here too. I think I have the same thing that you do with seeing the rocket launches. He grew up in Hawaii, where like the biggest telescope in the world or something is. I don't know, but like we're both very just like geeked out about it. And so we'll go and like we have to like fight for a spot miles away.
Oh, I'll get you tickets. I'll get you guys tickets.
Oh, dude, you got to hook us up. Yeah, because
I can get you. Once it's kind of crazy right now with the COVID thing, but I'll definitely get you guys tickets to at least the visitor center stadium seating. Okay. So it's like when you go in there, they have like a stadium seating with a big countdown clock. Yeah. And it's like right towards the. I can get you tickets.
That'd be so huge for us. You just made his day for sure.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely get you tickets for that. It might be after all the COVID stuff because they're real tight right now.
No, dude.
Because they're at 50% occupancy. Yeah. But I'll get you guys hooked up for one of these launches. There's so many launches going on.
Yeah, well, you got to be like full of work. I heard that they have, because I mean, right now we got NASA, you got SpaceX. What are the other companies over there?
So Boeing and Blue Origin are out there doing big things.
They're not launching yet, though.
Not yet, but like Blue Origin is, I don't think any of this is like secret information. I mean, you can see it from fucking literally the road.
No, you could look up like who's there. I just don't know.
Blue Origin's building is the biggest building I've ever seen. Like they're building so much shit. It's like the size of like 15 Walmarts that they're building right now. And they've got like their own VAB, their vehicle assembly building, where, I'm assuming they're assembling their own rockets eventually.
Right.
And then Boeing's doing their stuff out there. So the next like 5 to 10 years is going to be super exciting out there.
Damn.
Like super exciting.
Like there's going to be like a launch like every week.
Oh yeah. Like
eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I know SpaceX has talked about doing multiple launches daily once they can get the, they want to do basically like you go there and you want to like go up into space and you go and pay your whatever.
Right.
You get to go up and then you come back down and like they have like two or
private,
three.
Like private.
Yeah. Like ride. It's like a ride. It's like going on a roller coaster where you get to go up in space.
Sign me up, dude.
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'd go, right? Yeah. Why 100%. Not, right?
I'm going to try to swindle my way in there as like a medic and get free rides and get paid to do it.
I tell you what, if during my lifetime I get to go to space, orbit, like that's, you know what I mean?
As crazy as it sounds, I feel like that's going to be a very real thing in the next 10 years.
It's not that crazy anymore.
Yeah. No.
When, I mean, the fact that he's, SpaceX is, made it so much cheaper than NASA was doing already in 10 years, who knows?
And then the fact that
it'll be.
He's not losing money and parts and stuff anymore. I mean, the first time I watched one of the rockets land on a barge,
dude,
in the middle of the ocean,
that's cooler than the launches.
Yeah,
you saw the barge, right?
Yeah,
the first one because we went and saw that when he launched his Tesla into space. We were like, yo, this fucking guy is launching a sports car into space, and the coolest part of that was watching the rockets land again, because that's eerie. That's like. Oh, like if we were...
It looks like it shouldn't happen. It looks like it should just go... It's like when you hold a bottle rocket and it just goes all crazy. Right. It's like... But this giant rocket comes down perfect. And then it's on a barge in the middle of the ocean, like kind of like rocking.
Then, there's one in the ocean and they have two landing simultaneously on the island in Coco. Yeah. Right? And near Cape. And seeing two rockets come down... like enter
perfectly.
Like, it's like, oh, if aliens attacked us, it would probably be something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you're looking at something that doesn't seem real.
If you were to tell anyone that 5 years ago that you could launch a rocket and then land two rockets and then land them simultaneously at the same time, people would go, nah, there's no way.
They were laughing at him. People were like, what are you were going to what? You know? And
so to basically think that it's not far-fetched to think that he can make it affordable to do what he's already doing. Like it's
right. It's a matter of time.
Yeah, there's a reason. He's doing bigger and bigger now. Like, have you seen the new one that they're getting ready to launch?
No.
I can't remember the name of it. It's the one they were getting ready to do with I think there's 4 astronauts.
Oh shit.
That are going up. But it's huge. It's fucking huge. It looks literally like a what are the things called where they keep like corn and shit in the country?
Oh, the silos?
It looks like a silo.
Yeah.
And they have done the hopper tests where it'll launch and then come back and land. And it's like a silo doing this. I could talk about this all day, man.
No, but he's launching skyscrapers into space, basically, at this point.
Yeah, it's insane. So
wild.
Working out there, I'm like a kid in a candy store.
I bet, man.
Like every shift for the first like month, once they opened the visitor center back up, I was like talking to my partner the days I was on the ambulance. I'm like, hey, can we go to the visitor center? He's like, bro, we just went last week. Yeah. And I'm like, I know, but I get to go. Like, I'm getting paid to go. Yeah. I'm like buying souvenirs and shit. I'm like nerding out.
You're just geeked out about it, right? Yeah.
So hard.
You should, like, man.
Walk around, little NASA shirt on.
You should be proud as hell for that.
It's, I'm not like a super like proud, like, arrogant person, but if there was a time where I was proud of myself, it's right now. Like, things have been good.
Good, man.
But yeah, man, lots of exciting stuff happening out there.
I had a question because I wanted to know, because you're a little bit more about the hazmat thing. Mm-hmm. And I think you mentioned this to me before, like a while ago. If something went wrong, one of the contingencies, like in the case of Bob and Doug, is you would have put them or they would have been like zip line down in a cage or something like that, away from it all.
Wild.
So what's up with that? Yeah,
so you can't see it in any of the videos, but at the top of basically like right where they walk in, the platform where they walk into the capsule, there is cables. They look like the guide cables that hold up like radio towers.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they look like that. But there's actually baskets that, like, God forbid, one of the astronauts had like a heart attack.
Okay.
And, you're 300-400 feet in the air.
Right. Away from everybody.
You got to get them down quick.
Right, yeah.
And the ambulances can't sit at the bottom of the rocket. So they have to stay pretty far away. So it's so wild, man. I'll show you pictures later.
Mm-hmm.
The actual vehicle that the astronaut rescue team is in is like a armored tank, basically.
Okay.
And they're like the closest, and they can like haul ass in. It's like this, like 8 inches thick of solid steel. They run up, and then there's medics on that team too. They'll go up, pull like Bob and Doug out, and they put them in this basket, and then you literally, it's pretty much like a hatchet type thing to a rope that you basically chop, and then it sends you flying down the zip line. And that's where the ambulance will take him out of the Stokes basket and put him in the back of the ambulance, take him to the hospital.
Right.
That's cool. Crazy, dude.
Yeah, so they thought of everything though, probably.
Oh, yeah. Huh? It's like the fastest way to get from 300-400 feet down to the ground, like super fast.
Quickly. Yeah.
It's so funny how technological some of the stuff is, and then how primitive some of the stuff is.
Right, because that's very just like basic mechanical.
Grab that,
I could build that in my backyard. And now a few words about our sponsor. Castledor Studios is a music production house located in Orlando, Florida, and it's where I choose to record episodes of The Orange Lando Show. The studio features a blend of vintage and modern equipment and can accommodate musical artists of any genre, voiceover recordings, and, of course, podcasts. They can help with anything audio related. Castledor Studios offers free tours. Come check out their amazing facility for free. There's nothing to lose. They also offer free open house events like their monthly songwriter night where artists share and critique each other's work. It's free, people. Every session you book with Castledor Studios will be professional, private, and inspiring. If you have a creative idea, take action now and contact Castledor Studios at castledorstudios.com. Use reference code OrangeLando to receive a 10% discount on your first booking. All right, back to the show.
If I ever would have thought, going back to like being like the little skateboard kid, coming to Orlando and like, when we're sitting there like, how the fuck do we get here? Like, if I could go back to like 9th, 10th grade, when my teachers were like, oh, you're just a little punk kid, to think like back then, like if I could be like, I'm gonna work for NASA one day as a fireman. I never,
right?
And now that I'm gonna do that, it's just like the wildest feeling.
That is cool, man.
It's the best feeling ever. So this is definitely like the most proud I've been of myself.
Yeah,
is like I did it. Like if this is all I do, if this is what I do for the rest of my life, I'm good.
This is it, right?
I'm good with that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Were you sponsored skating?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep like making that noise with my lips. I just realized I do that.
Oh,
sorry,
no, I didn't even notice.
Whoever's listening, I apologize.
Dude, my first episode, we were talking about, because you just did like your first episode of podcast and like it went bad or whatever. On my first episode, one of the things I hate is I'm eating like tangerines into the microphone. And
I saw that.
And I'm like, like no one wants to hear that.
Dude, ASMR. Have you heard about that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
My girlfriend told me about that. I thought she was so weird, but some people
Is she going to get into it?
She has to listen to that to go to sleep.
Oh, she doesn't listen to it, yeah.
She doesn't do it, but she has to, like the nails.
It creeps me out. I don't know. I mean,
it does. It weirds.
As much as it relaxes me, it also like cringes me. I don't know, everything.
It gives me like the heebie-jeebies. But
yeah,
she has to listen to that to go to sleep. And when you were eating the orange,
that's what it was.
I heard it. I was like, it was like that. She would have loved it. She would have been like replaying the orange eating part over and over again. I was like,
no way. Yeah.
I chewed ice. My first one when I did with my buddy Paul when I was hammered.
That's a little bit more pleasant than like a mushy sound. A crunch, maybe.
I don't know. I guess to each his own.
Depends.
You know?
Who you are.
Yeah, what sounds do what. But I never even knew I chewed ice. But apparently when I'm drinking rum and Coke, and I've had 17 of them, I chew ice. And I was just sitting there like, and it was probably as bad as how that just sounded.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's the orange thing wasn't bad though. No, definitely wasn't
too bad, right?
No.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I'll probably stop eating. But definitely the drinking is on point, I think.
Yeah, what are these beers, man?
Yeah, so I was going to grab some other beers from this place, but they're sold out because they are very popular. But Hour Glass Brewery.
Yeah.
I guess their headquarters is in Longwood, but they have a couple locations.
Used to be an amazing skate park in Longwood back in the day.
Yeah?
Yeah, Longwood used to have one of the best skate parks around here.
What's this called? This is called Transcendental Merc Fantasy.
Yeah, I was having trouble reading that.
It's an IPA. Ooh. Yeah, they make a really bad. They have a bunch of cool stuff, but they have some really badass sours that I usually bring down to Sebastian when I visit.
This is good.
But yeah, this is good too. It's the first time I had this IPA, and actually I did grab a sour. I've never had this. This dude told me this sour is It's called the Gene Sour, I guess.
Yeah, we'll crack that open.
Yeah, we will. It's got like 12 different types of berries they use.
I love that.
And they age it in Pinot Noir barrels.
Oh, I think is what he said. That.
And he says it is like a soury punch, like it's very sour.
That's
so
awesome.
I was like, all right, let's go for it. Yeah, try that one.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no,
I love supporting local business too. Man.
Yeah. Shout out to Hour Glass Brewery.
Yeah,
they
definitely.
Are, one of my spots for sure.
Yeah, you definitely need to check this out. It's good beer.
Transcendental.
I can't read that good.
Oh, a funny thing too, this koozie. This is for my mom's 60th party.
Dude, your mom is a shit.
She's cool, right?
Your mom's awesome.
She's not bad. She's good.
She's like Benjamin Button. She's like getting younger.
Yeah, dude. She doesn't break.
I saw her at your sister's birthday, and I'm like, what the fuck?
No, honestly, my sister and my mom, they're like sisters.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways, you know?
Your whole family has good genetics.
They're good, yeah.
You guys look like 20 years younger than you are.
I don't know, yeah. We got a little lucky, maybe. I don't know.
I think it's because you guys eat good, too.
We do. Especially my mom and my sister, they really kind of influenced everyone in my family to think a lot more about how they eat.
Yeah.
And no one in my family is like vegan or vegetarian, but they're all much more plant-based now.
Yeah.
And just I don't know, there's something, and then they're just so much. What's interesting about them that I appreciate is they're always willing to change things. They never get stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's big, man. That's how you don't fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
When you go hardcore one thing or the other, it's like I tell all my friends, diets don't work. If you want to use a diet as a kickstart,
sure,
to like, I'm 50 pounds overweight, like I want to fucking lose some weight, and you want to just kickstart that weight loss, a diet will work. But to think you're going to do that, paleo diet or whatever it is forever, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Like you have to, like you guys do, it's a lifestyle change. You kind of adapt.
Lifestyle change.
If you're living in the city, it's going to be a little bit different than if you're living in the country. If you're growing, like where your sister lives, like if she wanted to grow her own vegetables and do all that, she could. But, someone who lives in downtown Orlando, it's going to be a little bit harder.
Right, yeah.
But it's just you adapt that. I think as long as you, all in all, figure out what works for you.
What works for you. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. I'm definitely a big plant. I quit eating meat like 5 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, to each their own. I know guys that can eat bacon breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it doesn't affect their cholesterol. For me, any kind of meat aside from fish, my cholesterol went through the roof. And come to find out, it was hereditary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was in really, really good shape physically, but I got my blood work done. I was 28 years old, and I had a PA tell me I was going to have a heart attack by the time I was 40 if I didn't change something.
So you made that change, huh?
Yeah, and she wanted to put me on cholesterol medicine, blood pressure medicine, and I was like, and I mean, dude,
It's crazy that their first reaction is to think about medicine instead of talking to you about 100%. How you eat and what your lifestyle is.
Yeah. She literally said, if you don't change your diet,
okay,
we got to put you on this.
Right.
But I recommend we start you on this now because your cholesterol is so high.
Gotcha.
And I was just like, no, I'm not doing that.
It's a dangerous path.
Old. Yeah, I don't want to even start that. And so that was like, I didn't take my own advice and start gradually. I just immediately was like,
good,
vegetarian, almost vegan. I cut out dairy completely. The only thing I ate that was still like animal based was chickens because I had my own chickens.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And they were my little homies. They'd
Yeah.
hang out with me. And,
Hell yeah.
They laid eggs. I only had females, so they were never fertilized. But they laid eggs every day. So it was like I either throw them away.
Dude, that's the thing. Yeah.
Or eat them.
Yeah.
Or they eat them. Did you know that?
Chickens eat their own eggs?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know
It's
that.
gross. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I was on vacation for like 2 days, and I came back, and I had like a feeder and water thing that fed them. And I came back, and there was like all these eggs busted open, and the inside was out, like eaten.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, something got in here. But none of my chickens were dead. And I'm like, and I mentioned it to one of my friend's moms, and she was like, oh, yeah, if you don't take them pretty much every day, they'll eat them.
They'll eat them, huh?
And I was like, that's weird.
Whoa, yeah,
But,
wow.
Yeah, so I still ate eggs. And then about a year in, I went, I think it's called pescatarian, where I still eat seafood.
Yeah, seafood.
And that has been amazing for me. Like, that has been my
I have this kind of principle,
ticket.
my own kind of maybe philosophy. And I did kind of a vegan thing for a couple years too, where I went and still I don't really I never buy animal products in my house. Like if I eat like meat and animal products, it's like a treat for me, or it's something I'll still do like maybe once a week or so like that. But usually I'll go out and I'll like really enjoy it. Yeah, if I want to do it then. But it's not a daily thing for me anymore.
Yeah.
I find that if I eat, especially just unprocessed foods,
that's the big thing.
Is just like fresh. Like my breakfast is like raw fruits and vegetables usually.
Yeah.
And nuts.
Raw is the ticket.
Yeah.
Like,
and
the more raw, uncooked stuff you can eat, the better.
Again, do what works for you, and that's kind of what I've been finding out. But one of my philosophies now is I usually feel better eating pescatarian stuff than like red meat and chicken and stuff.
Oh, way better.
And the way I kind of think of it is like something that's as far away from my personal DNA as possible, right? Like like if I eat a mammal that's kind of closer to me, like it makes me feel a little bit more sluggish or whatever, Like chicken makes me feel better than red meat.
Yeah.
And fish and seafood make me feel better than chicken. I don't know if that's just like a mental thing for me, but that's kind of what works for me.
Each person's body is different. I mean, it's the same thing as like, why some people have legitimate gluten allergies and some people don't.
Right.
On a molecular level, you don't know really how red meat's acting in your body compared to his. It could be, like I said, I know guys that can eat bacon all day long, and their cholesterol is perfect. If I did that, I would be dead like in a week. And it's so you got to figure out what works best for you. And I think though, as a whole, unless you've got some weird disease, where you can't eat leafy greens or whatever, I think as a whole, raw vegetables, raw fruit, like true nuts should be most of your diet. The meat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is not how, and people will preach, the caveman diet. Yeah. Dude, they would eat meat, but then they might not eat for 3 days. Like they didn't have a refrigerator.
And also like people talk about like different like nutrient deficiencies. There's so many nutrients in vegetables that you don't get anywhere else. Oh, yeah. If you eat like a good variety of greens and fruits and vegetables, you get so many like micronutrients and all these things that you don't get with meat. I still if I eat just straight vegan for like a few days, which I do all the time, I'll start to crave a little bit of meat and I'll want it. Maybe it's the savoriness the flavor, the iron. Maybe it is. And so, like, I feel like that's maybe something that my body's telling me I want.
Yeah, and you got to listen to your body, and that's the biggest thing. And your sister's actually talked to me about that. In passing, she probably doesn't even remember, but you definitely, got to listen to your body. The reason I like the pescatarian stuff is the fatty, the good oils. Your essential oils,
right?
It's really, I don't want to say you can't, but it's really, really hard to get from vegetables.
Right.
And I don't like taking supplements. So, if I can do fish, and I try to eat fresh. So like, especially living in Florida, it's pretty easy to get. Like,
it's so easy.
Do you ever
like lobster dive or like anything like that?
Yeah. I haven't gone in like 2 years, but like scalloping, lobsters, it's
clams are out there too.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of like real low caloric intake, low fat, high protein with good, the good oils. You can't go wrong with that unless you're allergic to it.
Pretty much anywhere from where you live. I mean, in Sebastian to Vero Beach, I used to do a lot of diving growing up, and you can just kick off. You can even snorkel.
Yeah, you don't even need a boat.
No, you didn't even need a boat. We used to go out there with like the pole slings, the sling spears, or we called them like Hawaiian slings.
Yeah, Hawaiian slings. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would just be like a 6-foot pole with like a 3-prong spear, and then like a big rubber band on the end of it, and then we go down there and spear grouper and sheep's head all day.
Yeah.
And then mini
There's
season.
Nothing better than fresh fish.
Oh, dude, pulling
Nothing
fish. Yeah.
better.
And then my other friends would my good friend Jeff, he would go hunting, and so he'd bring back venison, and then between him and me, we would have like lobster and venison, like a freezer full, and like nothing better than like some
surf and turf.
Almost, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there's something about getting your meat or getting your food yourself than like supporting these huge big companies that are doing it.
And that was so it started as a health thing, and then it went to I started researching where my food was coming from. And I'm telling you right now, if you're listening, don't do that unless you want to make a big change, unless you like just don't have a heart. Because the more you learn about where your food comes from, I'm telling you, if you've got any bit of a conscience, you're going to like stop eating a lot of shit that you eat right now.
Oh, totally.
And that was the biggest thing for me. The more homework I did, the more I was like, one, how is this legal? Like a lot of these companies.
Right.
And two, I am not fucking supporting this anymore.
No, it's terrible.
Plain and simple. And I'm not, some liberal, like super left wing, like
hardcore extreme. You're not being extreme at all. You're just being practical.
Got my concealed weapons permit, love my guns, love gay people too. But, I just don't want to support, it's just flat out animal cruelty.
There was a documentary I watched years ago. I think Paul McCartney produced it. It was called, I think it's called If Butcher Houses Had Glass Walls or something like that. And it was like, there's a lot of footage and stuff in there. And you're like, I'm eating that, like especially the chickens and stuff that are like paralyzed basically.
There are some people that work in those places that I swear have to be like inbred. Like there's so just something wrong with them. They you've seen the videos. I'm like beating the animals, and like throwing them against the wall, laughing for fun. Like what is wrong with you?
I think it's a Vice documentary. I might be wrong about that, but there's one documentary where they're like interviewing the actual guy who uses what are those prongs called that where they kill pigs with or in cattle and stuff.
Oh, like the bang stick?
The bang sticks.
Yeah.
And there was one guy, his only job was basically to bang stick pigs all day. So all day he's just killing live animals. And that does something to you. You can say all you want, like you have some kind of separation from it, but like that's, there's something where when it becomes like you're removing the whole like spiritual and human and like real world element to like killing something in the wild and it having a purpose to it just being a factory line.
You nailed it on the head, because I do believe in, the chain of, like this gets eaten by this gets eaten by this.
We evolved eating meat.
There's a evolutionary chain. There's a hierarchy. Like there's a reason, sharks don't get eaten by guppies. You know? Yeah. So I 100% support that. But to just like cram thousands of pigs into these things, force feed them, separate them, do everything completely unnatural, and then just sit there and bang stick a bunch of them. There's something that is just so wrong with that. And, some people don't care. And they're just like, whatever, like ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that,
One of the things I love is this whole like plant-based meat thing, Beyond Meat and Impossible, and they're not there yet, but I think but potentially what both of those companies are trying to do is they're trying to create meat.
A happy medium.
They're trying to create meat. They want to create something eventually that you can't distinguish. They want to make chicken breast that one day is made from plants that you can't distinguish from actual chicken breast.
Yeah.
That's their goal, right? Neither of the CEOs are happy with their product yet. They're all about innovating. All their money goes into R&D. They're not profitable. All their revenue income goes into R&D because they're not happy with their product
Beyond
yet.
Beef, I actually just bought some stock in Beyond Beef. I think like this year was like their first year that they turned a profit.
I have a lot of shares.
I mean, Beyond Beef's had a really good year, but exactly like you said, they put so much back into R&D. And I mean, their burgers, dude, the Beyond Beef burgers.
They're pretty good, man.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Ethan Brown is the CEO of Beyond Meat, and he is a very interesting guy if you ever want to look him up.
I'll have to do that.
And he especially is just not happy with his product. He is in a point now where he is just like, he's not done making beef until it's as good or better than actual beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's actually the reason that you can start finding these plant-based meats in the meat section of grocery stores now.
Yeah, like Publix, it's big now. Like I remember when I first like found them, I had to go to like the health food stores. And now Publix has got them. Every Publix everywhere. Has got Beyond Beef or...
I always have Beyond or Impossible in my fridge.
The Beyond Beef sausages, you cook those on the grill?
The sausages are where it's at.
I literally did a science experiment, and I feel bad because, you know, I'd be mad if someone did it like reverse to me. But I guess my buddies...
You feed somebody?
Yeah, but my buddies eat vegetables. It's not like I fed them something they didn't eat.
Right. It's not, yeah,
it wouldn't be like them feeding me
you gave
meat.
them LSD or anything.
Yeah. Oh, they'd have to pay me for that.
Yeah, right.
But I cooked some, you know, they were all Beyond Beef brats. And I put some over here and some over here. And I was like, oh, yeah, those are the meat ones. And they were like, dude, these are so fucking good. What kind are they?
Yeah.
And I threw the package at them, and they were like, wait, these aren't meat? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And like two of my buddies still buy them. They eat meat,
challenge.
but that's like their favorite brat is the Beyond Beef one.
What's great is because if you like, and I said this earlier a little bit, but like if you're like on a plant-based diet, one of the things you miss flavor-wise is the savory flavor. You don't really get that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's cool that there's companies out there that are like bridging this gap.
Yeah.
That aren't trying to be health food companies. They're not trying to be like, this is healthy for you.
Yeah, and there's plenty of vegetarians. I kind of want to mention that earlier. Is I know a lot of vegetarians that are super unhealthy, and it's like you can still eat like shit and eat a bunch of processed stuff as a vegetarian. You know, it doesn't mean you're healthy. You know, humanitarian side, not killing animals. Yeah, you're crushing it. Good job, but you got to be healthy. Like you can't just be like, I'm a vegetarian, but I'm still 40 pounds overweight. It's like, bread's not meat, but it's still, if you're eating like a loaf every day, not a good look. You know?
Right. Yeah. No.
So just be healthy. You know.
I used to work at this place called Ethos Vegan Kitchen. It's like just on the road from here. It's do you know of it? There. Yes. Yeah. So I worked there when I moved back to Orlando a few years ago, and the owner Kelly, really cool guy. But this doesn't take shit from anybody, you know. But he's just like he's a nice guy, he's a cool guy, but he gets like reviews and stuff about like how his food's not healthy and like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, fuck you. I'm not making healthy food. I'm making good food that I like to eat, that I think people like to eat. Like he's making Philly cheesesteaks and shit like that, you know? And I remember one day this girl came in and she bought a meatball sub. And it was like a vegan meatball sub. Yeah. And she's talking to her dad next to her, like how it's so healthy. And I'm like, it's a meatball sub. Yeah. You know, it may be healthier, but it's not healthy. But it's still like, dude, like it's fats and it's protein and that's it. You know, like it tastes delicious. Yeah. The meatball subs especially, you can't really, because there's just so much. They just taste like a regular meatball. So it's like one of those things that really you can kind of sell to somebody and they almost wouldn't tell the difference, you know? Yeah, I've done that too. Yeah. At the fire station, I did a few meals where I didn't tell anyone. Yeah. They're like, this is so good. And I'm like, you ate vegetarians, nerd. Yeah, loser. Yeah, no. Yeah. But, oh, that, Ethos, that reminded me. You asked me about skateboarding. Yes, I did. I wanted to know a little bit more about your skate career. Dude, if you got to reel me in, I'm hey, dude, I'm buzzing off this one beer. These things are got to be like 9%. Yeah. A little bit. What is this? Go for it. I've got like ADD like a motherfucker. So if you ever gotta be like, hey, pay attention. We're good, man. We just went down the plant-based route. Let's go down the skateboard route. Because I know I have some questions for you. Because I was never sponsored or anything, but I skated a lot. I know like a lot of the, you know, in the area. Like I skated at Merritt Island. I skated Graffiti Skate Zone and shit a lot growing up. Graffiti Skate Zone was my home park. Oh, sick. Yeah. So Dan Hatcher took over Graffiti Skate Zone, I want to say like late 90s, early 2000. And it was behind that Palm Bay Rec Center. Yeah. And he put together a skate team. And I was like, I don't know, maybe 15 at the time. And he put the skate team together. You know, like I said, most skateboarders are kind of poor, you know, if your family's got money, and I'm not stereotyping, again, I'm open-minded. Most likely, if your family had money, you could do football, cheerleading, the expensive, team sports. You were going to buy all the stuff. Right. But skateboarding was mostly like you can get a complete deck for $100 basically. And your dad's like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Come home when the streetlights come on type deal. Yeah. So that was me. And so Dan at Graffiti Skate Zone put a team together. And he was like, hey, look, I want to take
all of you guys, because his 2 sons skateboarded, and he was like, I want to take all of you guys and we'll go as like a team to all these skate parks and when they have competitions.
That's cool.
So, we would still have to pay to enter the competition initially, but he would pay for the gas. And like my dad would never drive me to Tampa, or Clearwater or Jacksonville. So it was cool. We like, he was going to take his kids anyways. So then he just let us, he had a big Suburban. So he would just let us ride with and gave us all some t-shirts and, team tryouts. And, so it was the first time as a skateboarder, I felt like I'd never been on a team.
Like you were part of something.
And I was like, I'm on a fucking team. Like, this is cool. It was like back in the day, like Powell Peralta and like the Bones Brigade, like they had a team. That stuff kind of went to the wayside. And skateboarding was like very independent, like, cliquish.
Right. Yeah, cliquish.
And, so to be on a team was cool. Like that was really cool. That was like ninth grade, I think, like 8th, 9th grade. And I just ate it up, skated fucking probably 8 hours a day, every day. Like just
committed,
ate it up. So then he ended up doing like team tryouts where there was like a sponsored team. And so there was like a beginner team and like a sponsored team.
Okay.
And then the sponsored team, he started like taking us and paying for the contest for us. So we basically, all we had to do was show up and he would drive us there. He would pay for the contest. And, the kids that could, we'd pitch in for the hotel room. If we couldn't, he would just cover it. But there was a couple of kids that, their parents had money and they would help pay for hotel rooms and stuff. But then we started traveling. And, before we know it, I start getting 2nd place, 3rd place, 2nd place in contests. And, people start like, who the fuck's this Graffiti Skate Zone? And his son, Jeff Hatcher, was super good at skateboarding. My buddy Timmy Knuth, who I'm going to have on my podcast.
How old was his son at that time?
He's like a little bit younger than me, like a year younger than me maybe. Plays guitar. He was in a band called Arcadia.
I don't know. I used to, Graffiti Skate Zone was like where I would always want to go and try to go. And I actually went to skate camp there one year. Like over the summer or something like that.
What year did you go to skate camp?
Oh man, it must have been like 2005.
Dude, I guarantee you I taught skate camp there. Like,
did you?
That was part of the thing. Like on the team, they asked you to like help out.
That's wild.
I wonder if I was teaching skate camp.
I remember because like I remember
when
like
you were there.
and you would come up with a line and you would run your line and they would, I remember they would like judge you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you'd have like a little competition at the end of it and stuff.
That's the wild thing is like I taught skate camp and like some of the kids that I taught are pro now.
Whoa.
So it's like big name pro. Like it's wild now. Like ride for Baker, Element.
Wow.
And I like remember teaching them how to like do heel flips and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like it's weird, but graffiti actually had a lot of big name people.
There were some good people there. I remember there were kids that were like in like middle school when I was in high school there that were like maybe almost like barely in middle school, like 6th grade, that were like nuts, doing shit that was, like insane, like, just, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm never going to do a crook grind down this rail on this, on these steps. That's just insane. And then seeing some like 6th grader just, kill it and being like, oh, fuck,
Yeah. And that was the cool thing about being on the team is like when you skated by yourself, it was hard to motivate. But then when you skated with like 6 other people, you would like vibe off each other.
That's what it is.
And you would start pushing each other more and more.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, I can never do that. And then you see some kid 2 years younger than you do it. And you're like, fuck it. I'm going to try it.
Some of those things you got to have somebody to like really be, that's just crazy. It's a little sour. What do you think?
Oh.
It's different, right? It's somewhere between a wine and a beer.
Yeah. I like it, but it's definitely a one.
Oh, there's a punch there. Yeah, it's a oneer, right? You don't drink this all day.
Oh man,
it's thick.
It is. It's syrupy.
Yeah,
it's got a good flavor. It's just
it does.
What's it called again?
I'm into it.
Yeah, I like it.
I think I would drink it out of a wine glass.
Glass brewing. I like it. I feel like ice cold. This would be like.
Yeah.
Probably pretty. I'm trying to think of what you could drink this with.
Oof.
Like what would be good with this?
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It's like one of those things that like you get like these local breweries. They all have like they're experimenting with so much shit, and this is like what that is. This is definitely.
I almost taste like the tiniest hint of like a like a little chocolatey taste kind of somewhere.
Yeah. No, totally.
Dude, this is good. Shit, have me back on here more. I just want to try all these cool beers.
Come on here and just drink beer.
Yeah,
that's what we'll do.
That's pretty much what my podcast is.
Yeah, just drink beer.
Just everyone that comes.
I can't wait to get on your podcast.
I can't wait. I actually need to talk to you when we're done with this about when we're going to do that.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, and back to skateboarding a little bit, I have a couple songs coming out in the next, in like another week or two, I have one song coming out.
Cool.
A single, and then in like a month or so after that, I'm having a song come out. It's called Skateboard. Yes. And I literally made it it's like a jam track a little bit. It's got a pretty cool verse in it, and then it's just like really jammy, like solos and stuff. And it's like that surf punk rock kind of a feel. And I longboard now a lot. And I picked it up when I was really, I guess here, but when I was in LA, I lived in LA for a few years, and I used to I just plow through everywhere I could in Hollywood, LA, Santa Monica,
way faster
Venice,
getting around.
and just it was just cool, it was just cool cruising, and not killing myself.
Yeah.
So I've been really into just kind of like a long distance, like as fast as I can longboarding. Yeah. I don't know. And I do a lot of Lake Eola here, or not Lake Eola, a different Baldwin Park.
Okay, yeah. I've never been there, but I heard it's super nice.
They have a really cool, it's probably like a little over like a half mile around. And I just plow around there for a few laps for like exercise now. And, I just practice my switch foot, and I just, and I just kick all day. And I wanted to make a song where I could just like skateboard to it, I just wanted like a skateboard jam track. And so that's what that is.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it.
I think maybe after my next song comes out in a week or two, that'd be a cool thing to come on and talk about my music
absolutely.
and stuff with you. I'd love to,
100%.
be your guest. And
I want to definitely pick your brain about how you got here in this kick-ass studio.
Yeah. So it's a story for sure.
Like it, I've got a couple of buddies that went to Full Sail and ended up working for, I think, Feld Entertainment, and they did like, I think one of them did Disney on Ice, and one of them did a bunch of stuff, and it's always interesting to hear. It's a very unique like world, like the music industry, and like it's a whole different style of art that people don't even realize is art.
I'll save the good stuff for your podcast. Yeah. Who is Joe Grant? Check him out. You're on. I listen to you on Apple Podcasts.
So for as much of a fucking caveman as I am when it comes to technology, I'm pretty proud of myself. I got myself on Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Amazon. Like music, like if you've got like the Alexa thing,
you figured it out.
And you got Amazon,
you're doing the RSS feeds.
Yeah.
So,
Which that was like a different language to me. I didn't even understand that.
There's a learning curve there for sure. You figured it out. Yeah.
And if you go like Alexa, play Who is Joe Grant podcast, it'll play. Pull it up and play it. Dude, the first time I did it, I was like, holy shit! I felt like cool, I just solved like some mystery. No.
I just released my first music single earlier this year. And I went on, my music name is Zidane the Earthling, right? And I'll tell you a little bit on your podcast where that comes from.
That's what I want to talk to you about.
Like stuff like that. But the first time I went like, hey Siri, play Zidane the Earthling, and it came up, I was like, I made it. No. Yeah. But it was just cool. Like it's cool figuring that out and knowing that like, okay, it's something great today. There's like a middleman removed between you and the audience now. You used to have somebody distribute you. And now you can be your own distributor. To be on the radio,
you had to...
right, or even to get like anyone to hear you had to have a CD pressed or something. You had to have like a label or
stand on the fucking corner, like, hey, listen to this, and like slinging CDs.
But now you can like like your podcast, for instance, like you can have like your own community, and I think every community on different levels can have like their own artist, and their own voices and stuff that community really values. And now, so there's so much opportunity for people to live more of an artistic life now, or to do these things that before were just out of reach. And the podcasting is a great example, I think.
It's so reaching your community. Man. It's so much fun. Yeah. And it's, like you said, it's a good way to reach the community and kind of like open up people's eyes to like just maybe something they didn't think about, it's the podcasting is so cool because it's like, some people don't like to read books. Some people don't like to watch movies. Some people don't, whatever your thing is. But, shit, one of my buddies even texted me. He goes, dude, I've never listened to podcasts ever. I listened to it because it was yours. And he goes, you and Ashley had some really like cool looks on things that I never even thought about. And he goes, now I follow like 5 podcast channels. And he was like, I'm literally learning shit
Yeah.
While I'm driving to work. He's like an hour drive to work in the morning.
Gets you out of your bubble.
Yeah. He was like, I never would have done that if you didn't post, a podcast.
Right.
And it got me thinking, like, even if only like 10 people listen to it, if that one person, if my buddy listening to it, learns something that possibly one day like helps his life, that's worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's so cool. And it's not about getting famous and all that stuff. Like,
no.
I honestly can, a lot of people say this to me. I really don't give a fuck if I get famous or not. Like, that's not at all what I'm trying to do. It's just like me and you, man, like doing this now.
Yeah.
If you didn't do a podcast, I didn't do a podcast, this wouldn't have happened.
This wouldn't happen, right?
And we're getting to hang out, drink beer, shoot the shit.
I guarantee you people are going to listen to the beginning of this episode and they're going to be like, this motherfucker grew up poor as a skateboarder and he's a firefighter for NASA. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and then to hear, there's just things like that. There's no other medium where you get to listen to people for this long term and really to get to hear them out. And there's a problem with, like TV interviews and things like that are only like 10 minutes or whatever.
100%.
You don't really get to know that person.
Yeah.
A lot of people right now are like, they want political candidates to go on podcasts because they want to hear them talk as themselves.
I'm not going to lie, the Joe Rogan
for
thing.
Over an hour.
I'm sure
over an hour. Yeah, people want the debate for Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan to do the debate.
But it's a good thing because like the debate, first of all, the commentator for this last debate like just got ran over. Like he didn't control shit.
Oh my God! We won't get into politics too much.
We don't have to go into like the political part of it, but
Jesus,
just the platform.
That was a disaster.
It's a disaster.
It was an absolute disaster. And I work with people that are extreme like Trump supporters and extreme, Biden supporters. And I'm not going to tell you. Keep you guessing. Try to figure it out. But I looked at both of them and I'm like, if your children acted this way, if you had two kids and you're like, hey, you guys need to talk about the problem that like, you got into a tiff at school, you guys need to sit down and talk.
Right.
And you were the mediator as a parent. And I looked at both of them. I said, and your kids fucking acted like that?
Yeah.
Would you be cool with it?
No, I'd be like, shut the fuck up while he's talking.
And I'm like, that is one of those two are going to be our president.
Right, yes.
Not just your kid, our president. And you guys are accepting that because, my friend that I work with that is pro-Trump and the one that's pro-Biden, they both had their moments where they acted like idiots. And
yeah, absolutely.
And they're supporting it. And I'm like, no, that is not presidential. That is not how a president is supposed to act. No. Plain and simple. I think the best way to put it is there's better options out there. We just don't have them available right now. Yeah.
This isn't, you know what I mean? There's something about it's a systematic thing maybe or whatever. Crazy. And like I don't think we're gonna solve the problems in the universe today. But I think people are kind of waking up to being like, okay, well maybe Fox and CNN aren't the ones we want hosting these debates anymore because fuck their 20-minute or 90-minute debates or whatever they're doing.
It's not realistic to explain a huge like how are you gonna handle the national deficit? You need 20 minutes to talk about that, not 2 minutes.
No.
That's ridiculous.
I don't need to hear something that your team told you to say.
Yeah.
I want you one-on-one with somebody in an intimate setting, being yourself and talk to me about your values and how you plan to solve problems that we're facing today.
Yes.
Not
he did this, he did this, he did this. And I'm like,
and,
Jesus Christ.
Fucking crazy.
I literally watched like 10 minutes of that debate and I was like, I can't do this.
It was a comedy. Like I went into it watching be like, oh, this is the best entertainment of 2020.
Yeah.
That's what I think of it as now. I think it's just entertainment.
Oh, they could have done that pay-per-view and people would have paid to watch that just because it was like a disaster. Like some people are like that. Oh God, it was bad.
That's so true.
But yeah, it's so bad.
It's wild.
It's so bad. When you think about like how presidents used to talk and act.
Yeah.
And then listen to how they talk.
I watched that movie Lincoln recently. I had never watched it. One directed by Steven Spielberg, featuring Daniel Day-Lewis as President Abraham Lincoln. And I was like, and you listen to, I mean, of course, this is a drama. It's produced, blah blah blah. But you get a really good sense of how Lincoln and other politicians acted and behaved. And there were radicals at the time. There were people. There were both sides. Honestly, there were the same thing as going on now. There were people arguing.
Yep.
But there was something. There was like class. Maybe it was that. Maybe that's what it was.
Shit, look at the way they used to write. Like the grammatically like correct. Just the way that they did things was like. Now we're like,
No, dude,
it's just out
the speeches he would give, he would write, or even
that's why so many people loved Obama, because he was just so articulate and like very well spoken. And a lot of things he did I didn't agree with. A lot of things he did I did agree with. That motherfucker could talk. Like he was good at when you look at him compared to literally anyone right now, you're like, okay, can we bring Obama back just for the speeches? Like, you can give him what you want to say and just let him say it.
Can we just have him say it, though?
Because you sound like a fucking retard.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone, but you sound like an idiot.
You sound like a fucking idiot. You sound like you got
it's so bad now. But, one of them's going to be president, so buckle up, everyone.
Buckle up.
Cheers to that shit.
Yeah, good luck. Hey.
It'll be an interesting year. Yeah. You guys thought 2020 was rough.
Yeah, fucking right? This is just the beginning.
Yeah. It's going to get good. Speaking of all this stuff, man, where are we at time-wise? Are we allowed to keep going?
Let me see.
I know you try to keep it.
No, let's go. Yeah, I mean, I try to keep, we're just not going to go for 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Only because, and the only reason I have like a little bit of a time limit right now is because I have to edit video on this and process things, and it takes a lot of time. But honestly, we can keep, as long as it's cool and I'm having fun, I'm going to keep going. So don't even worry about the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but... we didn't finish the skateboard thing. Yeah, so
there was something I was actually saying. I remember now.
Yeah.
Dude, these beers are working,
and I'm good at pulling people off the rails.
Dude, good. Keep doing it. Yeah. But I do remember what I was saying, and it was because you were talking about how like sometimes you need a group to get you to do that risky thing.
Yes.
And I did. I had that tight group in like high school and stuff growing up, where it's like you won't hit that ledge. You want that gap or whatever.
Yeah, you hype each other up. And
and then
talk shit,
it's like,
it's like a constructive criticism shit talk.
It is. It's like today what they equate to like toxic masculinity, maybe.
Yes.
Because like that's how you get hurt.
But that's how you become better at shit.
But that's how you also do the thing it's like one of those things. It's like, is it courage or is it stupidity? Either way, though, it gets you over the ledge, right? It gets you trying it, it gets you doing it. And there was some instances at Graffiti Skate Zone specifically where there was, especially I remember that skate camp where there were things I would never try to do. And I think there was like a pretty good vert ramp there that was like, and it wasn't the 20, like the Merritt Island was
12 foot.
Merritt Island was the bigger one.
No, Graffiti had a 10 foot.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Merritt Island had a 12 foot.
That's the one I'm thinking of. There was like a 20.
Or they had a big roll, and they had like a 20 foot.
They had an extension on. They had a big one.
Yeah, it was.
And I remember like everyone was like, "You won't drop it. You won't drop it." And I remember the first time I dropped it, like it knocked the wind out of me. You
like fell back.
Yeah, like it's
like looped out.
Yeah, and and it was like, oh fuck, and but then you got to keep doing it. You can't.
Oh yeah.
But and once you do it, you kind of realize, oh, it's not impossible. You get it. And and then eventually I remember going to Vans and stuff, and they had like a 22 foot extension on their vert and like dropping that, and I wasn't getting air or anything like that, but that was a big deal for me.
Accomplishing it, yeah,
and
getting over those fears.
Exactly, that's what it was.
And it's crazy because it's like a life lesson almost, where when you're like terrified of something, and then you do eat shit and knock the wind out of yourself, that moment when you realize like it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Like it wasn't as bad as I thought.
You can get back up and take 5 minutes and you're good.
You hold on to that like subconsciously to the rest of your life, where you might be afraid to do something and you're like, fuck it. I'll try it. Like it's not that bad. Like in some weird like scrambled code in your brain,
you're right.
You subconsciously hold on to those stupid life lessons of like you eating shit, knocking the wind out of yourself. And there's like that clear kind of weird moment where you're like, this sucks, but it wasn't as sucky as I thought it was going to be. And like, I truly feel like the rest of your life, whoever's listening, not just skateboarding, soccer, whatever,
whatever it is,
speaking in front of people in public.
Getting you to do something that you're...
And you bombed and you're like, whatever. Like they forgot the next day. Like that wasn't as bad as I thought. Like there's those things that like those crash and burn moments.
Builds character.
It does. And I bring that up because the toxic masculinity thing is like, God, dude, we need that, man. Like and we don't need toxic masculinity, but we need what some people call toxic masculinity that isn't toxic.
There's a place for it.
Yes.
Right. And I think, there's been a lot of groups that have been oppressed over time, and a lot of it can be attributed to there's been like a dominant group over them, which is, the white masculine thing, which totally I agree with,
And you can't deny that.
No, it's 100% there. There's these privileges, or there's these, people that have just kind of been higher in the hierarchy, or, these dominant positions.
Yep.
And there's things about them that have put other groups at, that have limited their their abilities to do things in the world. But like you said, it's easy to attack them and say that, you know, and just simplify it and be like, that's bad.
Yeah.
But if you think critically about it, there's something about it that got us to where we are today, right? Like there's something about these traditional masculine things that, you know, there's something about taking risks and doing something stupid that leads to like innovation and moving forward. Yeah. And for better or worse, that's how we got here to where we are today. And maybe that's not 100% how we need to move forward in the future, but we shouldn't disregard it either.
No, I think we need to find that. And I feel like forever we're gonna be doing that dance. We're like, oh shit, this is a little too far.
Right.
We need to reel it back. And now I feel like where we're at right now is we're way too far back. Like we're way too lax to where people are afraid to say anything to anybody because they're afraid they're going to offend them. We're too far back. You know, in the 90s, we were way too progressive on some things where we were just flat out being, you know, I don't want to say racist, but racist, sexist, bigots, whatever.
One of the things I remember growing up, right, is, you know, I graduated in 2007. And I remember one of the things being like, this is gay, that's gay, 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 you know, and that was like, that was the funny thing, like, oh, you're gay, you know, and it was hilarious, you know, like at the time, I was ignorant.
Yeah.
But then I actually have, now I have a lot of friends who are gay.
Yeah.
And if I do say something that's gay, it's because it actually is gay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's something, you know, be like.
I talked about that on my podcast. I'm like, how do you describe something that's gay without using that word?
Right, yeah. And so that's fine, you know, but like to just use gay as a synonym for something that's bad or negative is just obviously a terrible thing to do to a group of people.
And I think it's depending on who you are. Because I had a lot of friends that honestly, even in the early 2000s, that were gay and open about it. And, you know, I'm not going to put them on blast, but one of my buddies, one of my fucking best friends, big old country boy, Hunt, you would look at this kid and never think he was gay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I knew then, but I feel like back then being like, that's gay is totally different than right now saying, oh, that's gay. Like people get offended immediately right now. Right. Back then, because I've talked to him about this like recently, I'm like, hey man, when I used to say shit like that, like, did that bother you? And he was like, no. He goes, I know you didn't mean it like that. Like, you weren't like being derogatory towards me. It was like being like, you know, like when you say, oh, this sucks. You don't mean literally like this, it sucks. You know, you just mean it sucks, like it stinks, you know? And then when you say, oh, this stinks, you don't mean it smells bad. You're like, everyone knows what the fuck you mean, you know? And that's how that's gay is. You don't mean it's actually, you know, like I have to get up at 5 a.m. is homosexual. Right. You don't mean that, but you're like, I got to get up at 5 a.m.
So it's just the last thing I ever want to do is to be saying things candidly that are actually affecting like a large group of people.
And that's what I was saying
in a negative way, you know?
It's different now. You have to watch who you say it around. Like when I'm around my buddy that I was talking about, I'll still say that because I know it doesn't offend
I'll say the most ignorant shit around my close group of friends. If they know who I am, they know that I'm kidding and stuff. You know what I mean? And I think it's very important. I think it's the same argument with like comedians getting canceled today. Yeah. Comedians are like the people where it's like, I don't need to take you seriously. Actually, I want you to say things that you would never say if you were being serious. Yes. And just for the perspective or just for the experience or even if I don't like it at all. That's what comedy's all about. Even if it fucking offends me, it's like I still want there to be a space for that speech because I think we have this ongoing human experiment where it's like as soon as you say you can't do that, you're creating a problem as well, you know?
You're making everything vanilla.
You need vanilla. Yeah.
It's completely.
Life's a little dirty, you know? And
that uncomfortableness that makes you like when someone, like I'm half Cuban, when someone makes a joke about like, you know,
they call you like a spick or something?
Wetback or swimming over here.
Oh, like,
sure. You know, that kind of like weird uncomfortable is kind of what makes it funny. I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. Yeah,
right. But and there's a difference between who says that to you.
Yes.
If your friend says it to you.
And how they say it.
And how they say it. Yeah. You know.
Anyone that's got a boyfriend or girlfriend, you've been there with it. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. That's what it is.
Yeah, true.
And so like with my buddy, I'll still to this day be like, that's so gay. But if I'm at Universal or Disney or something, and there's, you know, a bunch of like 15, 16-year-old kids around me, I won't say that.
Of course.
Because I truly don't want to offend someone. Like I don't want to hurt someone's feelings off of something I said. And that's not because I'm a pansy. Like But it's a different world we live in now. And unfortunately, do I think they need to fucking toughen up a little bit and not get offended by everything? Yeah. But it's not what it is. And unfortunately, we do live in a generation. I talked about it on my podcast. My girlfriend gets offended way easier than I do.
Yeah.
Love her to death, but I even have to watch what I say around her because I don't want to offend anyone.
Right.
Like stuff I'll say in front of my guy friends, in front of you, I won't say in front of her because she grew up 10 years later than I did. So it's like,
right, you guys are separated generation-wise, yeah.
Offended her didn't bother me at all. And so I'll say shit and not even think about it. And she's like, that's kind of racist. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then we'll end up in an argument over something, because I'm just kind of like being closed-minded to her feelings on it. And I go back to like your great, not yours, but probably any of ours, our great-great-grandparents. They were probably like, there were some things they were probably cool with and there were some things they weren't. Like the way we look at, I don't know, pick anything. Like I'm trying to think of something simple. Like the way we look at like two guys getting married and we're like, whatever, that's normal.
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
At some point, interracial marriages there was a point where like they were like, okay, that's normal. But the gay thing, no, that's not cool yet.
Right.
And then time goes on, and now the interracial thing, like no one even thinks anything of it for the most part.
We had like the civil rights movement, and then we had the equal rights movement after.
And then it gets into now, like the way that like, maybe our grandparents looked at like interracial marriages, and most of them that weren't assholes were like, yeah, whatever, like do your thing as long as you're happy. But, there was a point where like gay marriage was like, no. Most people were like, no. Now we're like, we don't even think anything about interracial stuff. Like I said, unless you're an asshole, then, that bothers you.
Sure, yeah.
But now like gay marriage doesn't bother most people. They're like, whatever. And it's like, how much farther is this going to go? Like, and it's like what offended people back then.
Yeah.
Or what didn't offend people back then offends people now. And I feel like it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
Like we're going to have to meet like a breaking point where it's, someone's gonna have to put their foot down. Like you were saying, like back in the day, we'd say this is gay, that's gay, and now you can't do that without offending people. Which,
the issue with that too is specifically like maybe the gay thing is I don't want to make people uncomfortable, especially if like I work with somebody, right, and maybe they don't. I don't. Right. I don't want somebody to come to work and feel uncomfortable and not being, and especially being in a position where they have to like. And they don't feel like they could say anything. I want people to come to work and not have to worry about being offended, honestly.
Yeah.
I want them to be in a professional environment.
Yes.
So I think there's a time and place for everything.
Absolutely. I think like you said, it's around your friends. It's the people you're comfortable with. If you just meet someone like, and you don't know them, you don't know, what they've been through, like have some couth,
Right. Yeah.
Like,
that's a good way to put it.
Just be.
But I think either extreme is bad, right?
Extremism, period, is bad.
Yeah, right. You don't want to silence people, and you don't want to
either way,
and you don't want to just be, off the cuff all the time saying whatever you want, no matter where you are.
We've had those. Everyone's had those friends where you hang out with them, and you're like, it wears you out.
Yeah, right.
God, dude, just stop. It's like constant one-liners, like jabs.
But, and people say things I think that are ignorant all the time, and I'll be like, whatever, that's them. Yeah. But do I think that they shouldn't have the right to be, have their own podcast or or have their job, as long as they're not really affecting anyone else's lives, that's what it depends. It's like when you start negatively affecting other people's lives because of the way you're acting, that's one thing.
Yes.
But when you're honestly just, not a bad person, you're just kind of ignorant. Yeah. There's I don't know, I feel like there's this line where you just really shouldn't. There's too much of this silencing culture going on right now.
Yes.
That is just look at us, dude.
Dude, it's a weird time to live in right now.
It's pretty crazy.
Very weird time. I honestly just wish we could all get to a point where like we love each other enough to where.
No matter what you said.
Yeah.
Like everyone's your friend. Like everyone gets you.
You know that everyone's like cool with everyone.
I wonder if the internet will take us there to where it's like you look at somebody and you understand. You know what I mean? Like there's like this. What's that theory or whatever where you can only have like a couple hundred people in your circle that you can actually know by name. Something like that. But like one day it's like, Elon Musk, this fucking guy, he's also talking about putting a chip in your head that's going to connect to the internet.
Cyberlink?
Neuralink. But I think about that. I'm like, so I meet anybody and instantly I could have like almost a personal relationship with them at the first instance that I meet them because I can know very intimate things about them.
Neuralink's crazy.
I could know like what their threshold is.
That's scary.
I can know what their threshold is for, certain types of jokes or,
it's like level, I mean? You get like a rating.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this guy's PG.
It's like, you can say gay around this guy.
Yeah.
Don't say gay around this guy. It makes him feel bad. Like, okay, I'll be nice around. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm making a bad example maybe, but the idea is that
I think most people get what we're saying.
Yeah.
I think, and that's the crazy thing.
Maybe.
I think
we're
most
just thinking
people
out loud.
Are the middle ground. And I think the problem is most people that are the middle ground are the ones that are quiet because they're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to say nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to tweet about it. I'm not going to post. I don't give a
right.
fuck. I got to go to work. I got to feed my kids. Like, I'm not fucking whatever.
Right.
But I think there's a really small window of people that get like hardcore offended either way. Like the devout, like hardcore, religious people that are like, like there's some people that literally believe that if you wear a condom, like that's a sin. Like condom and abortion, there are people that extreme where if you wear a condom, that's abortion.
Right.
And like that extreme all the way to the extreme of like, oh my God, you called me or you said gay near me and I'm offended, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that extreme, both suck equally as much. Like we need to get to a point where it's like, I feel most people are kind of in the middle where they're like, yeah, we can have fun. We can hang out. Like, I know he didn't mean that. Like, he's joking. I think you have a small amount of people on this extreme and a small amount of people on this extreme, but they're the loudest.
Right.
They're the ones that post and tweet. And so all the people in the middle all they're seeing on social media is hate. And, so we're in the middle like, fuck, man, everyone hates everyone. When really most of us are like, I don't give a shit.
Right. We kind of think that, like, humanity is like this... like we get like this, we get it seen through this lens, right? We only see like these loudest voices, and we think like, and it's easy to be like, you hear, especially because like there's a two-party system, or everything's so binary. When you really try to simplify it, you got to pick either or, and
which is so dumb.
Which obviously humans are more complicated than that, right?
Way more complicated.
Yeah,
it's like the Matrix, like what is it, a red or a blue pill? It's like, dude, we're not that simple.
Right, yeah.
Like, when you look at what is going on in our bodies, we're miracles. Like, every day. Like, the fact that we eat that grows out of dirt.
Dude.
And then, or the stuff we eat stuff, and then it turns into what we sustain our bodies with for 100 years or
there's a guru guy I follow. His name's Sad Guru, right? He's this Indian mystic.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah, dude, I love this guy. There's things I disagree with him on, like whatever, but one of the things he says is like, he's like, your body is just an accumulation of the things you eat.
Yeah.
And he talks about being, really conscious about all the things you do in life. And when you're eating something, kind of goes back to what we were talking about before with health and stuff. It's like, you're creating your body, like your body is always changing, and and the same thing kind of goes with our psychology too. Like the things that you intake are what's, creating your psychology, creating your mind.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying, for something
accumulation.
That complex,
right?
To think it's either door one or door two.
Well, it's because at the end of the day, like
we're not that simple.
There are like there's like these complexities going on, right? You can really actually make anything probably complex if you really try to keep breaking it down, right? And through science or philosophy or whatever. But at the end of the day, like maybe even when it comes to like voting, even though like you might not necessarily agree with one party or the other, you still have to like pick one.
Yeah.
Right. And there's still, you have to eventually simplify it to make a decision and make an action.
Yes.
Right. You can get as complicated as you want, and make your decisions based off of all these different factors, these different variables. But at the end of it, you got to kind of find like you only have so many choices to move forward in terms of action. Yeah. And I don't know if anything we're saying right now makes any sense.
I don't know. It sounds so good in my head right now.
It sounds so good to me right now. But
I don't know if if this isn't making sense, like take an edible or something and then listen again.
Eat something trippy.
And then like listen back in, and we'll probably sound way smarter.
Listen
than we
to it in
are.
reverse. Try that. That's gonna be great.
This is so much fun.
This is cool.
This is how I always get on my podcast, to the point where it's like, I'm like, I don't know where the time is. I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm having fun.
This is good.
I hope it sounds good, but I really don't give a shit because I'm having fun. That's how life should be. That's how every fucking day should be. It should just be.
I think a lot of the issues is like people like just speaking out loud and just saying their thoughts. You know, it's like, and I say things all the times that I look back at later and I'm like, I kind of disagree with that. You know?
Oh, 100%.
You know.
I disagree with myself more than I probably disagree with anyone else.
But it's part of the process, right? I don't want to be in a place where I can't put myself out there and then get feedback and be in fear of like the actions put against me.
That's how you grow.
And it's like I want you to tell me these. I want to have a conversation.
That's how you grow.
I don't want to stop having the conversation.
If you're the kid that just sits there and never says anything, never talks and everything, and you just sit there, you know, unless you're a very like avid listener and you're just like soaking stuff up in, which you know most people aren't. They're just a lot of people that don't talk a lot or that don't interact a lot. It's because they're shy. It's not because they're like savants. But if you're shy and you're just sitting there, like you're gonna be that forever. When you're an idiot like me and you're just like, bop, 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 and then you're like, oh shit, no, that was stupid. I shouldn't have said that. Tell me why.
Yeah.
You learn. And like, I feel like that is constant growth, like that step, you know, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back. And that's what, you know, disagreeing with yourself is. And
Oh, totally.
But the crazy thing is, man, is like, unfortunately, the craziest people are usually the loudest.
Crazy people are usually loud.
The craziest people are usually the loudest, metaphorically and literally.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our president right now.
Right.
Just saying.
Very loud guy.
He's done some good shit.
Reverse engineer that.
But that's a loud motherfucker.
Yeah.
But the craziest people are the loudest on both extremes. So like I was saying, I think most people are in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy people, the loud ones that are the extremists, it only seems like they're so relevant and prevalent because they're fucking loud.
Let me ask you a question, and then we will wrap up.
Okay.
Shortly, but let me ask you this question. This last little path, right?
Yeah.
Do you meditate?
I don't. I really.
Have you tried to meditate?
No, I really want to though.
What do you think of meditation? What do you think of?
So
like, how would you define meditation?
You know, honestly, I would say like the closest I've come to meditation is this is gonna sound so fucking dumb.
Yes, sick. If you're dumb, dude, say the dumbest thing you can think of.
Oh, this is so dumb. The closest this is kind of like my like get out of my own head way.
Okay.
Oh God, no judgment, right? Everyone's fucking open-minded. All right, buy a bottle of Barefoot Moscato.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Not the $9.99 one. Break off the budget and get the $14.99, the big boy.
All right.
I drink the whole thing.
Okay.
The big bottle of Moscato.
Okay.
And I put my TENS unit on.
Your what?
TENS unit.
I don't know. TENS?
TENS, TENS. So like, I actually, it doesn't look like it, but I work out a lot.
No, you're fit, dude.
I'm trying.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
But it's basically like electrotherapy. Like if you've ever been to like a chiropractor or anything
I've had like physical therapy.
Yeah, where it does like the zappy
things.
And
they make your muscles move.
Yeah, it's like the twitches. They'll put like the basically like a positive, negative.
Yeah. I pulled my hamstring once. I
told you this is weird.
Okay,
so,
this is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about meditation still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I didn't say masturbation. I said meditation. Yeah.
I get a belt too, and then I go,
asphyxiation.
Just all kinds of shit going on.
Right.
No, but I literally like what relaxes me the most is getting that good. I don't know what it is about wine. Wine, I could drink that whole big bottle of Barefoot. I just love it because it's cheap and it tastes good. And I will be like less drunk than I am with this little bit we drank. But for whatever reason, the tannins or I don't know, I'm not wino, but whatever the thing is in wine that gets you like that good, I get like the most euphoric feeling.
Gotcha.
Like just so like just my whole body feels like hollow, like I could feel things better.
You get to a place like where you're not like worrying about things so much.
Yeah, and I'll usually do like lower extremity. I've got a badass TENS unit that I can hook up multiple. So I'll do like my lower extremities, my upper extremities, and like my lower back and kind of like upper back. And I'll set it on a real low setting to where it's like just a real low pulse. And I can feel it through my whole body.
That's interesting.
And I'll just lay down, like lay flat. And just like clear my mind. And like the mental, I feel like meditation is truly like that mental clarity, regardless of what physical position you're in. Like some people do breathing exercises for meditation. Some people do like a yoga.
Yeah.
For me, the physical side of it to get me like optimally relaxed mentally, drinking a bottle of fucking Barefoot and doing the TENS unit. And it like, I feel. Do
you have any physical pain, like back pain or anything, like knee pain, anything like that, that you deal with regularly?
No, a little bit of back pain, like a little bit of back pain, depending on like work and this and that and the other. But it's not like chronic.
Nothing chronic. Yeah.
No, nothing chronic. But it's just something about that real low, like pulsating through my body and like getting to that like kind of like euphoric state. I can literally clear my mind, like where I'm not thinking about anything. And I've laid there for like 2 to 3 hours, just like not asleep, but just clear. And like I take it off and I like the electrodes off and stuff after I'm done, and I feel so fucking good.
Gotcha.
Like I just feel like I got a new body. Like I'm so like mentally clear. I told you it was fucking weird.
No, yeah. I'm trying to like break down like with like what I consider meditation, like what you're talking about.
That's it. And I didn't say that was meditation. That's the closest I've come to meditation.
I see what you're saying. And like what I'm trying to distinguish is exactly what you're doing and what I think meditation does for me, maybe.
Yeah, let me hear. Yeah. Let me hear what you do.
I've been practicing yoga for like 5 years now.
Okay.
And one of the things I try not to do with yoga is or with meditation is actually yoga. The term yoga, like a lot of people think of yoga as like this physical exercise, but yoga, what yoga means, it comes from the root word to yoke or to harness your attention, to focus, right? And really to gain perspective and kind of think about your thoughts and to create like a separation between yourself, your awareness and yourself, right? To kind of to kind of like you know how like if you really kind of focus your intellect and you kind of think like you're being aware of your thoughts and you see your thoughts going off into maybe a memory and you're like, oh, I'm thinking about a memory. Yeah. You kind of catch yourself like, oh, I'm in a, and you pull it back, or then you catch yourself, you're in imagination. You're like, oh, I'm thinking about something again that's not real, maybe, or I'm thinking about the future, something that's not now. To bring yourself back in the moment.
I've done yoga
and true meditation and true like yoga. The point of it is to be so much in the moment where there's like a sense of oneness.
Oh, okay.
That's like the goal.
So
that's
I was thinking about meditation completely
and
wrong.
what you're describing though is and this is just my opinion, right? Is a sort of numbness. Like where you're kind of numbing the things that are distracting you from the
that's
now.
Exactly it. Like I get to a point where like my body is kind of like what are those things called that people get in the chamber?
The ISO chambers or
yeah,
ISO
it's like they flow
capsules,
and there's like you can't hear any sound.
Where you really try to block out all the sensory things.
Yeah, I just do that with a bottle of wine.
Well, the physical part of yoga, the purpose of it is to relax your body in a very healthy way.
I need to step my game up. I was shaking and shit when I was doing yoga. I looked like I was twerking.
And and what you have to do is you have to do it regularly. You have to do it correctly. You have to know, and you have to do it with purpose, right? And but in my experience is, especially I practice like a type of Ashtanga yoga that's very demanding, and you have to do it for like an hour a day, 6 days a week.
Holy shit.
And not necessarily I do that all the time, but when I do that, that's when like my body is so relaxed, I can really sit and just be with myself.
Really?
No matter where I'm at.
So even physically doing yoga, you can mentally clear.
And so the point of meditation for me isn't to like take a time and sit and be in meditation, but it's to just be a more meditative person always.
Oh.
If that makes sense to you.
It absolutely does.
And
I like that.
What you're describing to me in terms of you're getting a little bit of like a healthy buzz on, where it's not like so much where you're not getting dizzy or you're not getting, but you're just kind of numbing yourself just enough.
It's like getting out of my own way a little bit.
It's a lot of things people do with pot. It's what I used to do with weed all the time. And when I stopped smoking weed is when I had to figure out something else. I had to be like, oh, I have to deal with shit in a different way now. I can't keep numbing myself with weed. I got to figure out a different way. And yoga was that way for me to have a healthy way of making my body comfortable, making myself relaxed so I can start thinking about my own thoughts and yoking or harnessing and focusing my attention. And there's a big misconception in the West today with what yoga is, and it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Ashtanga yoga, Sadhguru, a few other really classic yoga gurus or teachers even the classic literatures and stuff, they're thousands of years old. People have been figured this out of how to be with yourself, and to really, the goal is to have some level of happiness. And because yoga was born out of the idea of like, I want to enjoy my life. I want to be happy. I don't want the external world to have this influence on me all the time. I want to be able to control the way I feel. So even when something terrible happens to you, you know, you want to be able to, you feel that, you know, if you get angry, if you lose somebody, you feel grief, you want to feel that and go through that, but you don't want to dwell on it and perpetuate it.
You have so much control over
and you don't want to unconsciously or compulsively perpetuate those negative things. You want to have a perspective and control over it. And when I talk to people about like, and the reason I asked you this question, what do you think meditation is because people don't know.
Oh, I don't. That's what I was getting at, is I have no idea what it was.
But what's interesting though is, even though you didn't really know what it was, you knew enough to where it was like a way for you to be with yourself.
Yeah.
And be comfortable with yourself, because that's what people want. You want to be able to lay in bed at night and not have all these thoughts going on in your head that keep you awake. Or you want to be able to just sit by yourself and not be worrying and anxious or depressed. You know, I dealt with a lot of depression.
So was like when I started doing that, and I joke about the wine. I don't always drink like a whole. I don't want you guys to think I'm like an alcoholic, but
no,
I mean I kind of am.
No, it's fun.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, it was my way of kind of like clearing my head and like just focusing on like I mean I guess honestly kind of like what I probably should be doing, like with yoga, is like being more alert on like myself. And the problem is what you described is very productive, and you can continue it in everyday life throughout.
Correct, yeah.
What I described, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I wake up, I feel great. But I still get frustrated as shit when stuff goes wrong. Right. And I get aggravated as fuck and lose control. And I'm like, like I definitely have aggravation. Like I have anger issues still, where clearly drinking a bottle of wine and putting electrodes on me isn't fucking doing anything. But yoga might, or you know, like yoga to the point to where I can truly begin meditating. And like I know a buddy of mine that does the breathing exercises, and that truly like that is how he gets.
It's again to like what our body, we're accumulation of the things that we intake, oxygen and like the air around us.
That's what he said.
It's something we're constantly, it's a part of us. It's in our blood. It's in our cells.
He feels high after he does it. Like he gets such an oxygen rich.
One of the cool, if you really want to feel like a stimulant from like breathing exercise, follow Wim Hof's breathing. Wim Hof, he's known as the Iceman, and he has breathing methods that I won't go into too much, but if you start practicing them, you will feel moments of euphoria. You will, and you'll.
That's what my buddy told me.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's wild, but I tried it and I almost passed out. And I was like, "How the fuck do you get relaxed from?" Like I was like, take yoga and meditating, or not yoga, but take meditating out of this. I can barely do this shit and not just pass out.
What I will say is, if you ever find a path, and we'll end this soon, but if you ever, and this is a good takeaway for anybody, but if you ever find like the correct practice of yoga, if you ever start getting into it, immediately what it makes you do is you have to start facing yourself. And I'll name some of the things you have to start facing. One of the first things it makes you face is fear, and then guilt, shame, grief, the lies you tell yourself, which is a motherfucker. Like when you really start meditating and thinking about the lies you're telling yourself, yeah, absolutely. And then it gets into like the illusions of what you believe is real. And in reality,
try that.
And there's nothing that's changed me more than this practice.
And you do it through yoga.
Yoga is the practice.
Okay. So that's how you
the
meditate.
Practice of yoga. There's 8 limbs of yoga. I won't go too much into them. One of them is the physical practice of it, which is the West is modernized into what yoga is now. Yeah. And then there's a breathing part of it. But really, what it comes down to is how you choose to develop yourself and experience the world internally without letting too much of the external world influence it. Like taking a grain of salt with everything that comes in, and realizing that everything that's happening to you, and I say this a lot, but not being compulsive, but being conscious, and not being reactive, but being responsive.
I like that.
That's
it, one of my biggest things is, and I've said this my whole life, is being proactive and responsive, not like being proactive instead of reactive.
Right.
So many people are reactive and not proactive on.
Well, the difference is being proactive is that you kind of have like a little bit of anticipation what's going to happen. But a lot of times things happen where you don't have time to be proactive.
Yeah.
But when those things happen, like you said, if you have like anger issues, right? Those things that.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So feel angry. It's totally cool to feel angry. But when you react, are you going to react or are you going to respond? That's the difference I'm trying to say. Are you going to be compulsive or are you going to be conscious? And that practice alone, if you just take that, if you start thinking
that was big.
If you think about everything you say and all the actions you take, am I being compulsive or am I being conscious?
Well, I like that reactive.
You'll change your nature.
Being responsive instead of reactive. Mm-hmm.
It'll change you.
Dude, that was worth coming here tonight.
It'll fuck with you. Yeah. It's not something to take lightly.
No, I'm scared to do this, honestly.
It's something that it takes balls.
Yeah.
It's saying like, oh, I'm not, it's honestly saying like, there's a part of me that is just being willing to be accepted by fate and destiny rather than being like my own free person.
Because what I was doing was like masking.
You were numbing yourself.
Not looking at the problems. Mm-hmm. What you described is the complete opposite.
Taking control.
Like going head on to the things I'm trying to ignore and mask. That is like literally, I couldn't have described a more opposite thing. Which I mean, fuck it. Like I said, I'm an idiot in a lot of things.
Oh, dude, we're all
that's why I love doing this because I legitimately, I hope fucking everyone else learned a little bit. I learned a lot.
I always feel like if I have a really deep conversation with somebody, I can walk away with being a better person.
What the fuck I taught you, but you taught me some stuff.
Dude, are you kidding me? You're a fucking firefighter from NASA, bro. Yo, hook me up with those tickets.
Oh, yeah, that's what you got out of this. You guys got tickets.
I got tickets.
Yeah, you guys got tickets. Deal. Yeah. I got a knowledge bomb, and you got tickets.
I got tickets to fucking watch space.
You guys got to have me on again just to see how fucked up my meditation is, because I'm going to try this.
Oh, yeah, do it.
And
hit me up. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't, it's honestly, people talk about, you're really, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to change yourself for the better and consciously do it.
I'm always down for that.
And it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. There's no pill to take. There's no fucking book to read, one book to read,
Not enough bottles of wine.
It takes work and it takes dedication. It's like any other, it's a skill set. Yeah. That's what it is, a skill set.
It's never over. Like you're constantly
there's no like I perfected meditation. Yeah. That doesn't exist.
You're always going to be getting better.
Well, hey, Joe, dude, this is the end of the podcast.
Amazing.
I appreciate you coming out so much, dude.
I had so much fun.
All right,
good time.
Yeah, man.
Cheers to everyone. I don't know if you're supposed to do this
Cheers.
or not, but
I hope you're as drunk as we are.
Dude, this shit was strong.
It's pretty strong. Yeah. It's basically like wine,
Yeah, it was good stuff. I'm going to go meditate now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you're...